Hi, last member is Monday, which we had January 13th, 2020. Members Monday, it's offered by Tiger Spreadsheet. He's a great teacher and he's very easy to follow. We were discussing validations during Members Monday. And what I wanted to focus on more is how can I limit entering, say this is first name, last name, in my database, which I'm setting up in Excel. How can I force a user only to be able to enter one name, like John Brown, instead of Jean-Pierre Simmons, say. I want to make sure that I'm limiting my users to only be able to enter one item under this column, under the first name column or last name column. I don't want to have any spaces. And the way I figured out how to do it is under data, validation, custom, and I'm going to enter a formula here, which I will first do outside of the field, and I will use, and mind you, I've looked online to get some ideas on how to do this, use some textbooks, I use tutorials and clubs offered by analysts and teachers and consultants like in Members Monday. And this is how I get my information and how I solve my problems. And I hope this helps you solve a problem as well. If you like it, click the like button, leave a comment. Here goes. This is how I would do a valid. I begin with doing a trim. This is to ensure that if we have any spaces here, or at the beginning of what's being written, the trim gets rid of these spaces. So I'll show you an example when I do length to try and capture how many characters are in the cell. With a space, it thinks there's 5 characters. If I do a trim and then I do a length, it thinks there's 4 characters. And what I'm trying to do here is capture how many spaces. And this is the only formula that I've come across on counting the number of words in a cell. I know you can go under review and then workbook statistics here, but I haven't figured out how can I count the number of words in these cells. This is a really helpful feature. Anyway, so going back, I am writing out the formula to try and capture the number of spaces because I want the valid to pop and prevent the user from entering 2 words, 3 words, anything more than 1. I want it to prevent the user from entering that under this field, the first name field. So length trim, this is 4 characters. I'm gonna go back here and do similarly length, 4 characters. Get rid of this space. I want to then go through the same logic down here, but I will substitute this text any spaces B4, no space at all. Click enter. I've gotten rid of the spaces, and now I'll count the length. So that's 8. And to get rid of these weird spaces that I did here, I'll end up adding a trim. And you don't need to add a trim in this part of the formula. So ultimately, what I'm going to do is trim up here. Well, let me do the formula down here. I'll do a trim B4. I want to subtract the 8 and add 1. And you'll see why I'm doing it this way. If I use this logic up here, I'll do it with a B3, B3, oops. I'm going to use this logic up here, and here's something cool. Do you see the fill? I'm going to fill handle up. You see, it just did the formula for me. But what's easier is copy in my formula. What I'm going to do is grab the length and subtract it out. Replace this variable. Add the 2. And now I'll do the same formula with the fill handle here, top right, fill, go up. I'm going to bring back this formula over here, Control V. Similarly, fill, top right, go up. Get rid of these, delete, delete. I'm going to add John, Tim, Scott, so you can see it is actually counting the number of words. And now this is how I'm going to do my data validation. Another thing I want to add now is odd. If the number is odd, I want you to give me true, otherwise give me false. So I'm looking for this to come on and off, basically. The reason I need for it to do that, I'm going to highlight the area I'd like for it to do the valid in, click Control, click the cell you'd like to start your valid in. This has to remain highlighted. Go up to Data, Data Validation, Settings, Custom. Oh, and I messed up. I should have copied the formula. Control C, Escape. Again, highlight my field I like to do the validation on. Click the Control button and click B3 in this case, where you're starting your validation. Data validation, again, Data tab, Data validation, Settings under Allow, Custom, under Formula, Control V. You see, it's hard to scroll all the way to the left of the formula is the problem. So let me cancel again, exit, is odd. Highlight, Control, click B, Data Validation, custom, paste, and then click enter. Make sure that formula is already set up. What you want to do is highlight the area you need the validation in, Control John, and then click validation. Make sure this pops up. The selection contains some cells without data validation settings. So you have to repeat the process again to get this pop-up. The selection contains some cells without data validation settings, and then you say, when it asks, do you want to extend data validation to the cells from B3 to 8, click yes. Click OK. That was the earlier process. We had entered this formula. And let me show you now, when I do John, click enter, it's working fine. But if I do Jean-Pierre, click enter, I get the data validation pop up. Let me do now John Simmons. I get the data validation pop up. Let's go a step further. And what I want to do is let's do our input message or the error alert. When user enters invalid data, show this error alert. We are going to do, let's do information, name entry, no spaces allowed. Please enter single name info. Let's click OK and see if that works for us. So we'll do Jean-Pierre, enter, name entry, no spaces allowed, and it gives you the error message. I hope this is something that you find useful, and if you need more of a professional approach and need to have some administrative automation or want to discuss something with me that is more enterprising rather than just exchanging information, you know, at the end of it, we're exchanging information and bartering, but we're also looking to monetize this information. Check out jazzfin.com if you need something more professional. Talk to you, catch you on the next one. And again, check out Tiger Spreadsheet, great tutorials, awesome teacher, has a great goal in mind. Ciao, ciao.